I'm pleased to welcome our faculty, our students and friends to the 5th annual Mississippi School for Mathematics and Science Business Plan Competition. I was privileged to be part of the planning for the first competition back in 2018, and I'm proud to tell you that MSMS has continued to hold this competition every year since then. In 2020, I think this competition was one of the last things that was held before COVID kind of shut everything down. And then last year's competition, because of the COVID restrictions, the presenters were live, but we had to live stream the event because we couldn't have everyone here. So this is nice to have everyone back in a room together. Each year, our students have impressed me with the quality of the work and the thought that they've put into their projects. And I'm really excited to see what they have for us this year. I would now like to introduce Mr. Jeff Turnage, who will tell you a little more about this year's sponsorship. Mr. Turnage serves as the General Counsel for the City of Columbus and the Columbus Housing Authority. Otherwise, he primarily practices in litigation. His primary focus is construction litigation, defensive engineer liability claims, medical negligence and long-term care claims, as well as personal injury claims. Mr. Turnage also defends employers and EEOC-related claims and claims against governmental entities. A graduate of the College of Charleston in South Carolina, Mr. Turnage received his Juris Doctor from the University of Mississippi School of Law. He's a member of the Mississippi Municipal Attorneys Association, the Mississippi Bar, and the Lowndes County Bar. A former United States Marine, Mr. Turner is a certified instructor for the state's Board of Law Enforcement Officer Standards and Training and is a past president of the Mississippi Municipal Attorneys Association. Now, his wife is not with him today, but I already told him, I would like to brag to you on her. She is a 30-year educator who during 29 of those 30 years missed one day of school for absentee. So kind of the model for all of us on what we should be doing. Now, there was a long-standing tradition here at MSMS of something that we call the Msms Welcome. Now, like many of our traditions, COVID has gotten in the way and we've kind of forgotten what all of that was about. But we're going to reinstitute that today. You got an email telling you what to do. So at this time, I would like everyone to give Mr. Turnage a warm MSMS welcome.
I appreciate the kind introduction, especially giving credit to my wife, who is married way up when we got married. But I just want to say thank you again for inviting me to come and make a few opening remarks. I'll try to keep it brief, knowing you want to get on to the competition. But I also want to take a few minutes and say a few things. We're humbled and honored to kick off the final round of this competition. I want to say a special thank you to Dr. Kayla Hester for her very thorough emails and regular contact to ensure that things progressed along in a timely fashion and that I was able to provide the assistance that was asked of me, and I was happy and proud to do it. Unfortunately, I can't stay this afternoon for the conclusion of the competition and the passing out of the awards, which I would really love to be here for, but the City Council has a meeting tonight and I've got them convinced that they need me when they have a meeting. So I'm going to have to exit with the mayor when we get finished here with this opening statement. I cannot express enough how awkward it is for me to be addressing some of the country's smartest high school students. Why, you might ask, do I feel humble and awkward about it? Well, I graduated from Goose Creek High School in Goose Creek, South Carolina. And that probably sounds like a backwater town to you all. It's really not. It's a pretty progressive, growing community. And I was in a big high school class with 400 children in my graduating class. I played tennis and worked 2 jobs, and really I didn't focus on academics. But nonetheless, I graduated at the top of the bottom third. And so that's why it's a little awkward for me to be up here addressing probably some of the smartest high school kids in the country. I know you have a reputation of countrywide excellence, and you should be congratulated for that. What makes me proud to be here is the gift Ms. Hester gave us when she asked me to come acknowledge the fantastic potential possessed by each of you children, young adults, and particularly the competitors in the finals of this competition. It's very plain to me that you young ladies and gentlemen will be able to hit the ground running in college, and to hopefully have your parents living in your basement one day rather than the other way around. My wife and I did not have children of our own. We both married at close to 30, and we're busy working. She teaching school, did not want any more involvement with children. But we were blessed to live here in a great town. If people don't acknowledge it enough, Columbus is a great place to live, and there are many huge opportunities to make meaningful impacts here. Ann and I, my wife, we've been donors to the foundation for several years, but this year my friend and Columbus Mayor Keith Gaskin, who's also the director of the Msms Foundation and is here down in front, asked us if we would be interested in directing our donation toward this business competition. So I talked it over with Ann, and of course, I thought it was a good plan. She did too. I don't think in high school I ever had any sort of classes where they talked about the practical realities of the world, such as cost of materials, overhead, and profit. And I personally understood it because I had a paper route and worked a couple of jobs. That's difficult these days for young kids to have a job. So I think this business competition is a good opportunity to not only get an understanding of it, but to try to plan for how you would do it yourselves if you had the opportunity, and I'm sure you will sooner probably rather than later. In any case, I don't want to take up too much time, but I have several acknowledgments I want to make first. I don't know if there are any parents here, but to the parents, I hope you students will pass along to your parents. I want to congratulate them for their role in helping imprint you with the drive and focus to excel. It's a wonderful reflection on your parents that they trusted this institution enough and had the faith in it to let you go and attend here for this great on-campus experience. The parents have been credited with providing the sort of household and environment that prepared y'all to attend here, and they should be credited. So when you get back home, please tell them how much you appreciate it. Second, to the teachers, as you heard, my wife would be very disappointed if I didn't acknowledge teachers, because it's a very demanding career and the pay is not great. But I've witnessed it. Teachers give back in so many ways, mostly because they love the children. As smart as you folks are, you probably have succeeded if you had lousy teachers, but you wouldn't have done it nearly as efficiently had you not had the good teachers pushing to make sure you stayed on track. Your dedication is certainly reflected in my interactions with the competitors that I had the luck of getting to mentor. And it reminds me of a saying about the teaching profession that I've always thought a lot of. Ann's father, Ernest, was a high school teacher, and he was a star teacher many times over, teaching calculus and physics at Kirk Academy in Grenada. And I heard him say it many times, A teacher is one who makes himself progressively unnecessary. And based upon the maturity and intelligence of the groups I met and mentored, your teachers have done that job and made themselves progressively unnecessary. That is to you, but not to the next crop of students that come along. So please thank your teacher next time you have a chance. Third, the Mississippi State University Center for Entrepreneurship and Outreach. My good friend and former mayor, Jeffrey Rupp, who was the mayor of Columbus many years ago, for helping your your competitors polish and hone your business plans that will be presented, especially in today's finals. The synergy between MSMS and the university's Center for Entrepreneurship and Outreach is really an impressive thing. Jeffrey and I talked a few minutes ago, and he asked me to pass along his regrets for not being able to be here, but he's now an alderman over in Starkville, and they meet tonight also. But the synergy should mean a lot to the MSMS and to the Center for Entrepreneurship. Jeffrey told me they have over 100 student startups now that they have assisted in getting going, valued at over $30 million. So if some among you want to be startup businesses and enter into businesses without becoming somebody else's employee, certainly you ought to consider getting support from the university, from MSU Center for Entrepreneurship. And finally, to you students, to each of you gifted, intelligent students, I would say, please do not take your talents for granted. As American cognitive psychologist Howard Gardner said, if you think education is expensive, try estimating the cost of ignorance. Juxtaposed against that famous saying was that of Mark Twain, who postulated, a man who carries a cat by the tail learns something he can learn no other way. These two famous quotes put together are impactful, if you think about it, because they make two important points. First, you have to invest in your own advancement in order to make a meaningful impact in this world. And second, the best learned lessons come from mistakes, some of which can be very painful. Take it from me, you will all make mistakes. Everybody does. A friend of mine told me once after I made one, if you're not making any mistakes, you're probably not doing anything. I took a lot of comfort in that, and you should too, because you're all going to make mistakes. And the key is to remember to just embrace the mistake and learn from what you did wrong so you don't repeat it. So back to the competition. Remember this, whether you come in first place or you don't, you're all winners, and you should be proud of yourselves. I know Ann and I are. I want to be here. I want to leave here with this final thought. Don't thank Ann and me for our contribution to the MSMS Foundation, earmarked for this competition, because we owe you the gratitude for allowing us to donate to such a great event and to meet some of you who competed. Good luck until we meet again.
Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Kayla Hester, and I just wanted to give you guys a brief overview of how these teams got here today and also introduce our judges. So believe it or not, this process started way back in October when these groups submitted the first portion of their business plan. And since that time, they've had the opportunity to meet and work with local business people who have mentored them and helped them revise and improve their plans. Let me just give a brief thanks to those individuals. Ms. Amy Bogue served as one of our mentors. She's the president of Allegro Family Clinic. And Mr. Jeff Turnage, who we just met, also served as one of our mentors. Additionally, a week ago, these students went to MSU to present their pitches to a panel at the MSU Entrepreneurship Center. And they got some really great feedback on how to give a business pitch effectively. And I also want to thank, this was made possible by the generous work of 3 people in particular at the MSU East Center that I would like to thank. Mr. Jeffrey Rupp, who is their Director of Outreach, Mr. Eric Hill, who's the Director of Entrepreneurship, and Ms. Brooke Lambert, who's the Program Coordinator. So today is the fruition of this whole year of hard work for these guys. And we're giving out 2 prizes today. So second place team gets $1,500 and the first place team gets $3,000. All right. So before we get started, I would like to quickly introduce our judges who are going to help make this all possible. So they're down here. So I guess as I call you guys, if you could stand up and just kind of give a wave to everybody, that'd be great. So Dr. Pamela Lacy is with us. You want to say hello? This is your 3rd year with us for the business plan competition. She's just been wonderful. So she is an OBGYN with a physician and surgeon's clinic. She also serves as medical director of obstetrics at Baptist Memorial Hospital. She and her husband also own several local businesses, including Mom to Be, which is a maternity store, the Uniform Store, and Scrubs and Company. And she also serves with the Cadence Bank Advisory Board. So thank you again for being with us. Jamie Shields is also with us. She is an entrepreneur, a public relations consultant, and a victim assistance coordinator with the 16th District Attorney's Office. She's also one of the owners of Snap House, which is an interactive selfie studio and venue in downtown Columbus. She's also an MUW alum and serves on several boards and committees in the Golden Triangle and statewide, so we're excited to have her with us. Next is Charles Keisel. I can introduce you. Mr. Keisel serves as COO of Service Master Property Restoration in Hernando, Mississippi. He holds 15 certifications from the Institute of Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration, and he also holds a master's in business administration from Union University. Thank you for being with us. And lastly, we have Cynthia Keisel. Is the CFO of Service Master Property Restoration. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from Crichton College and has lots of experience in business finance. She's also a very active member in the Msms Plus organization, so thank you for being with us as well. All right, go ahead, give them a round of applause. All right, so we are going to get started now. Our first group is Electrostep, if they could go ahead and come out. This is Carter Miller, Dylan Griffith, Changjun Sox-Erden, and Elena Eaton.
Check, check. That was a long run. I should probably call my dad and let him know that I'm running in the woods. Hey, Dad.
Hey, son. Hello?
My phone died. What the heck? Oh, excuse me, sir. Can I borrow your phone to call my dad? I just got done with the run and he's probably worried sick about where I am right now.
No.
You can use these instead.
What's that?
Electrostep.
We live in a world where everyone is connected by these cell phones. In this generation, cell phones are paramount to learning new things, navigating from place to place, and connecting with our friends and family. Cell phones connect us to what we love, people, places, our passions, but a dead cell phone battery can take all of that away, leaving us disconnected. Our team has a solution. Electrostep. Electrostep is a shoe that capitalizes on the kinetic energy generated from walking and stores that kinetic energy in a power bank that users can then use to charge their cell phone. So, I know what you're probably thinking. Oh my gosh, this is a great idea. I love it. Who could come up with this? So, I want to introduce you to our team.
Hi, I'm Dylan Griffith, CEO of Electrostep. I graduated from Georgia Tech with a bachelor's in industrial and systems engineering.
I'm Carter Miller. I'm COO, and I have a master's in manufacturing.
My name is Chingyun Sokduden, CFO. I have an MBA from Harvard University.
And I'm Elena Eaton. I graduated from Parsons School of Design, and I'm the Chief of Marketing.
So, there's over 6 billion cell phone users across the world. And while we don't fit into a specific industry because of the complexity of this type of product, our direct competitor is portable chargers. And so in that market, there's $12 billion. That's a lot of money. And so in this year, 2022, during operating, we hope to target a $4 million share from that $12 billion industry. You're probably wondering how these things work. So there's actually piezoelectric discs that are placed in the bottom of the shoe that generate electricity on every footstep that you take. That electricity is then transferred into a battery inside of the shoe that has easily accessible charge for your phone.
So the ideal customer for Electrostep is an active individual who does not want to lug around a portable charger all day. You know, who wants to do that? As you can see, even Bill Gates himself is a fan of the connectivity that Electrostep enables. We've learned through surveys and market analysis that college-age students especially will really benefit from this product. So we switched our tactics to include them in our advertisements. We will reach customers through TV commercials, like on the outdoor channels or fitness channels, and as well as the CES showcase that takes place in Las Vegas. This showcase displays technology from around the world to individuals. And also, we're going to use Google Ads, which would be suited to those who have visited a portable charger website or just love the outdoors in general. And lastly, we hope to partner with brands like Nike and Merrell and implement our technology in these already well-established shoes.
At Electrostep, we firmly believe that everyone deserves to go wherever their active lifestyle takes them without the fear of being disconnected. So, to actualize this belief, we created our product, the Electrostep. You might be thinking that Electrostep sounds really similar to a portable charger, and that's because at Electrostep, we understand that portable chargers are so useful when it comes to staying connected and keeping phones charged wherever. But where portable chargers fall short, Electrostep goes the extra mile. Electrostep combines the connectivity and convenience of a portable charger with the comfort of shoe brands we already know and love. Additionally, the energy created by Electrostep is clean and renewable, so you never have to worry about your Electrosteps running out of charge, whereas with a portable charger, this is a real issue. To finance Electrostep, we've priced one Electrostep shoe at only $120. This covers the cost of materials, electrical components, a battery, and shipping and handling, which is valued at about $52. So this gives us a $68 profit margin, contribution margin. In other words, with every pair of Electrostep shoes that are sold, we expect to make 57% profit.
Although we have our own website to sell Electrostep shoes, we also plan to sell our product on Amazon Marketplace in August 2022. Then, in the same year, in October, we plan to sell our product in Foot Locker so that customers there can purchase them. We estimate a $4 million first year net sales. This is a 57% gross profit margin. And someday in the future, we plan to have a collaboration with Nike. We are asking for $150,000 for 8% equity. This will be used to scale up our business, accommodate high demand, and and research and improvement.
So for our exit strategy, we hope after 10 years to generate about $40 million in profit and then completely liquidate our company and sell all assets. We are Electrostep. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we'll open it up to questions from the judges.
I'm curious about weather conditions, like what is it, submergible, if it gets wet or high heat, and like battery. How long does it take to charge the your phone?
That is a great question. So on our shoe itself, well, we didn't create the shoe here, of course. This is just a demonstration. You bring it here. So on our shoe, we would have a compartment on top that kind of just encases the battery, and it's not waterproof. Keep that in mind. It's water resistant. So you can't fully submerge it in water and just slosh it around. But during rain, your battery should be completely protected from the outdoor elements. It'll have a pouch that goes over it, a water-resistant zipper. It'll keep everything conveniently placed in there. What was the further in that question?
About the charge, how fast will it charge?
Right. We estimated that it should only take about like 1 to 2 miles. It also depends on your battery size. You can get different qualities of battery on the shoe itself, but it should take about 1 mile to 2 miles of walking around.
So my question is, does it depend on how active that person is? Like someone who walks 1 mile a week versus someone who runs 3 miles a day?
Well, so the shoe utilizes shock harvesters, so that means that you're going to be charging your battery every time you hit the ground. So you don't have to go walk, but also jumping or anything that would make your foot contact the ground would harvest electricity.
I'm just curious how much thought and time y'all put into analyzing your initial ramp up of an inventory of shoes. Would you make all sizes available? Would they be both male and female sizes? How would that initially happen? I see where your ask there, 150,000, seems that that's a better start to cover some of your production equipment and raw materials. So I was just curious about how you get your inventory going.
That is a good question. And as a COO and Chief of Manufacturing, our plant will work very similar to a shoe factory, only we implement those electrical components as well. So it'll almost be like we'll have the production line of the shoe itself, and those machines can be fitted towards several sizes of shoes for male or female, and also wide or narrow foot. And in the future, we also hope to expand to have like customizable options. Of course, at the beginning, we have to start with the simplest unit, but further down, we hope to expand in that area. But as the very basics, the shoe factory itself, we generate the shoes in different sizes, and electrical components very easy to integrate in there. They're placed underneath the soles.
The shoe industry is a very large and very competitive business. What are your plans if someone likes your idea, like Nike or someone like that wants to try to, crush it?
So we mentioned collaborations with Nike, hopefully. Nike, Adidas, Merrell. And the hope was that they could, of course, generate their design, and we would just implement our product into that design. So it's very easy to take the components of Electrostep and put it inside the soles of Nike and have that battery component added to it. They already make shoes with pouches on them now, I think, like designer Nike shoes like that. And so I think that would be a very good route if we could gain interest of big corporations like that to notice us and want to make a deal with us like that. So.
Which also maybe part of our exit strategy is down 10 years down the line, if they wanted to buy us out, that would be an option.
What about, and so I like my activity tracker. I use my Apple Watch and I have Fitbit. Will you ever have some type of integration for an activity tracker?
So that's actually a great idea. So one thing that we can see doing down the line is maybe developing an app that works with the shoe so that you could track your battery since it's step dependent, and you can also track your steps while you're doing this. So you can say, oh, okay, I've traveled 2 miles, I'm at 100% charge, but if you go across that or past 2 miles, it'll continue tracking and you can find it in an app.
That could also help with optimization of your footsteps. If we're able to track how you're stepping and how often you're running, that could also help with optimization of battery charging.
Thank you guys very much. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, so next we have Upright. This is Nicholas Jacobs, Adam Cynthia, and Lucas Yu. Let's give them a round of applause. Oh.
All right, hello everyone, we're Upright, and we're pushing the boundaries of biotech while fixing Mississippi's healthcare crisis, one story at a time. December 23rd, 2020, 2 days before Christmas, a man walked into a military nursing home, picked up Jerry Holloman's prosthetic legs, and walked out. Jerry Holloman served in Iraq and Vietnam, earning Bronze Stars in both conflicts. Unbeknownst to him at the time, he was exposed to Agent Orange, a chemical that can cause diseases like cancer and diabetes. In 2018, he contracted gangrene, which eventually resulted in both of his legs being amputated. Hanger Prosthetics made him prosthetic legs and shipped it out to him, but the Veterans Administration refused to pay the full price. Unable to pay the copay, Jerry Holloman lost both of his prosthetic legs 2 days before Christmas. America was failing him. Jerry Holloman isn't alone. There's over 60,000 amputees in Mississippi, and this number is set to grow due to disease. The diabetes prevalence rate is 13.6%, the highest in the nation. Diabetes can cause arterial clogs in the legs and feet, which often lead to deadly infections, which can lead to amputations. This epidemic, combined with high rates of poverty and unemployment, translates to thousands of individuals like Jerry Holloman being unable to pay the, on average, $30,000 price for prosthetics. So there's a pressing problem, and there's a $9 million market here in Mississippi to solve it. There's also an over $400 million market nationwide. If we attain just 10% of this market, we will gross $900,000 per year. So there's a pressing problem, a massive market, and we have a viable solution. Here at Upright Prosthetics, we introduce to you 3D printed prosthetics, which drastically cut down the manufacturing and material costs of traditional prosthetics. We're going to be local, reaching out to the 35+ clinics around Mississippi to ensure we have the greatest impact possible. We're going to have a website with rural and worldwide capabilities, meaning that individuals that don't have access to prosthetic clinics can order prosthetics from the comfort of their own home. Most importantly, we're the first 3D printed manufacturer prosthetic in Mississippi. Let's meet the team.
Hi, my name is Adam Senthil. I have a background in 3D printing research and biomedical engineering.
My name is Lucas Yu, and I have experiences with electronics and computer science.
My name is Nicholas Jacobs, and I have a background in business administration and biomedical engineering.
Let's talk the logistics. First, our company processes are well planned out. Our 4-month-long prototype phase sees us developing the prosthetic creating a website, market testing, and reaching out to local clinics. Our operational phase involves fully opening a manufacturing center, launching ad campaigns, and releasing our website to the public. For authenticity, we reached out to industry professionals to ensure we create the very best products. We talked to Dr. Philip Toh from MSU, and he recommended a 4-month timeline for our prototype creation. He also suggested for us to use PETG, an inexpensive and eco-friendly material. And because of our unique material choice and design process, our products are extremely likely to be FDA approved, the very first in our nation. We give localized attention to Mississippians. That's why we'll offer only a fraction of the cost compared to other international companies. Oh, by the way, we already have a functional prototype.
So as you can see, we have a transradial, or below the elbow, prosthetic arm, and we're also going to be talking about transtibial, or below the knee legs. So this prosthetic arm is completely 3D printed, and we also have silicone caps at the fingertips to ensure that we have friction and better grasping power. If you look to the picture on the right, we have foam to ensure good comfort for our patients. And if we keep on moving forward, if we pull the wrist, our hand automatically clasps, which means that amputees can grab this.
Hey, I'm a little thirsty. Can I get some water?
Sure.
Thanks, Nick.
No problem.
Now you guys see our product, let's talk our revenue streams. We project that most of our business profits will generate from clinic purchases. A prosthetist will see a patient, send us the details of their fittings and impressions, and we will return them the finished product. Children need a prosthetic updated every 6 months, and our 3D modeling scalability is a perfect fit for this task. Adults need their prosthetic changed every 35 years, and if they're looking for a medium functionality and a low-cost alternative, they're a great fit with Upright. If you look at the graph to the right, we project that most of our business revenue will generate from below the leg prosthetics, below the knee, sorry. But this is because the majority of amputations are, well, below the knee. The biggest part of our sales strategy lies with local clinics, which can consistently provide us with patients. We can also sponsor amputee influencers on social media, as well as use Google Ads. Our referral strategy is a win-win for both the business and the patients. They receive a 10% discount on their purchase, and we have a greater impact on our community. Our fully functional website doubles as a great sales platform and an amazing advertisement tool.
Next, we have our competition and advantage. So we have 3 main competitors. Blatchford is an artificial limb company that produces high-functioning prosthetics for people who partake in sports. Open Bionic is clinically certified in the UK and caters toward children in need of prosthetics. And then Autobach uses traditional materials such as titanium and nylon. All of these companies have their own specialties, but one big problem that we see is that they have high prices. Open Bionic sells for approximately $11,000 per prosthetic, while Autobach and Blatchford sell for approximately upwards of $25,000. Upright, on the other hand, has a low-cost product because of our unique 3D printing process and our niche market. If you look at the graph to the right, you can see our most expensive product, which is in red, is our Upright Pro leg, which costs $4,000, and according to the Medicare standards, it's considered a K3 prosthetic leg, which basically means that it's a mid to high functioning prosthetic leg. And if you look at the mid functioning prosthetic leg approximation value, according to the Medicare standards, that comes out to be about $30,000. So we're cutting that cost by a lot. And another thing that you want to keep in mind is that our product doesn't really compare to something that's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it's an affordable choice on the market. Another thing that you see with large companies like Open Bionic and Autobach is that they're not centralized, they're not local. They're centralized in Europe. Upright, on the other hand, is centralized in Mississippi and is connected to the community that surrounds it. Another thing about Upright is that it's not a clinic. It's essentially a manufacturing business, so we can sell to said clinics and turn one of our weaknesses into a big strength. Now, looking at our financial model, if you look at our flowchart to the right, it's basically about our contribution margin. So the first number that you see after each product is the cost, and the second number is the material cost. And when you're looking at that, we believe that it's important you remember that 3D printers don't add into this cost because they're more of a startup investment. It's a one-time purchase, and then it's just maintenance ever so often after that. What really goes into it is the filament, the sensors, and the motors that go into the prosthetic itself. Next is our labor cost, which is approximately $60 per hour. Our employees are paid to ensure there are no hiccups in the printing process and to assemble the product and ship it. The last cost is the shipping cost, and that's how we get our contribution margin. Next, we have our break-even point, which is approximately $38,000 per month, and to overcome that, we can have a combination of our 4 products. For example, 8 standard arms, 6 pro arms, 11 standard legs, and 4 pro legs will amount to about $38,410, which overcomes our break-even point. Next, our status in Milestone. Currently, we have a prototype product that Nicholas, Lucas, and I showed you guys. We also have a functioning model website. And once we've grown throughout Mississippi, we also plan on expanding our manufacturing sites throughout the nation. Mississippi, according to the map, Mississippi has some of the highest amputation rates in the nation. And neighboring states like Louisiana and Alabama have similar rates. So that's where we plan on going after this. We also are going to transition from below the elbow and below the knee prosthetics to above the elbow and above the knee prosthetics so we can help more people. And we're also going to transition from debt financing to equity financing once we become a bigger business and we can keep a majority share in the company. We're also planning on patenting our product.
So there's a $9 million local market and an over $400 million national market.
We're a local 3D printing manufacturing company for Mississippians by Mississippians.
There's no other 3D printing prosthetic manufacturer in Mississippi. We're the first.
We have the engineering, electronics, computer science, and business administration backgrounds to make this company work.
Join us in helping thousands of individuals like Jerry Holloman stand upright. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, judges, we'd like to give you a closer look of our prototype. And Lucas is bringing it down, so we're ready to take any questions.
I heard you say that there is a 4-month process for creating the lens. So how many will you be able to manufacture at a time?
So for 4 months, we mean that's like as a business as a whole, that's our prototype phase. So during those 4 months, we're going to be creating the prosthetic designs, we're going to be purchasing our printers, and we're going to be doing all of these tasks. Now, as far as actually printing and assembling the arm, on our financial breakdown, we estimate that to be around 10 to 15 hours, depending on the prosthetic. So that means we're going to be able to make a lot of these prosthetics quickly. One limiting factor is the 3D printer. And as we grow in size, we're also going to purchase more 3D printers to account for this demand.
So, question, you said part of your revenue stream would be clinics, prosthetic clinics. So how will that clinic get reimbursed? So as a doctor, I'm thinking about, I'm purchasing this from you. I have low-income patients that's going to be the main target for this. What about insurance coverage, Medicare, Medicaid, Blue Cross Blue Shield? Have you guys thought about that?
So we have considered insurance liabilities and working with the clinics, and we did want to ensure that the clinicians and the insurance companies were all being compensated fairly during this process, but that is definitely something we could look into further, sort of solidifying the insurance process.
You mentioned FDA approval. How big of a hurdle do you think this will be with clinical trials and just gaining the medical certifications?
Definitely. So the FDA is notorious for taking years and years to process products. But one thing that's really important about our prosthetic is we're made out of PETG material. And PETG is already FDA approved. So that's already a massive hurdle that we don't really have to compensate for. The only parts that we really need to be focusing on is, of course, patenting the design and making sure that the silicon caps, the motors, the electronics, those components are accounted for. And FDA, we looked at the FDA procedures and they really dislike invasive procedures. And this prosthetic is a slip-on. It's not invasive, so we really do feel like we can be the first in the nation to be FDA approved.
So I noticed with the prototype, the material actually prints out and seems to be more durable than what you might imagine. I was thinking I was going to be touching something that felt rubbery, like plastic. So my question is related to, how much time, or is there any additional material that would be required for the leg prosthetic to support the weight of a person?
Yes, ma'am. So approximately, it's like almost double the time of a prosthetic arm to print the prosthetic leg. But it should be able to carry this support, human weight. But it takes around 20 hours to 25 hours from our calculations in order to print the leg. And it will take extra filament.
So it would be thicker.
Yes, it would be thicker.
How long did you say it will take to get a return on investment?
So we didn't mention this in the slide, but we did mention it in our business plan, and we estimate that it would take around 1.5 years or 2 years to get a return on our investment. And we'd be happy to talk about the financials further if you'd like.
Thank you, Upright.
Thank you, judges. Thank you, everyone.
So our third group is 3D Hub. This is Amanda Zhao, Kevin Liu, Ray Kadir, and Sam Sun. Let's give them a lift.
Okay, here we have my best friend Kevin, and he's getting ready for his first date tonight. Right now, he's making a bow tie out of Play-Doh.
Oh my gosh, my bow tie!
And it breaks when he puts it on. Kevin, what are you gonna do for your date tonight?
I don't know, man, I don't know.
Well, what are they doing over here? It looks like Sam is 3D printing a door opener because he's afraid of germs, and Amanda's 3D printing a mask holder because her ears hurt when she puts on her mask. Kevin, why don't you just 3D print a bow tie?
But how?
Well, what are you guys doing?
So we're using 3D Hub, which is our company. What 3D Hub is a subscription service company that when you do subscribe, you get access to our entire platform where you can create your ideas and bring them to life with 3D printing. So here Kevin, he has an idea. He wants to make a bow tie, but he can't make it out of Play-Doh. So that's where the creative outlet comes in, which is CAD. CAD stands for Computer Aided Design, and it's how people 3D print. So now he's introduced to 3D printing, but he doesn't know how to use CAD. And he also doesn't have a printer. So that's where 3D Hub comes in and breaks down all of those barriers. So the basis of our company is that we're bringing 3D printing and breaking the entire boundary from just medical professionals like we just saw. So instead of 3D printing only being used for prosthetics, it can now be used for creativity. Just like Kevin wanting to make a bow tie and even figurines or Lego toys. And so instead of creating with Play-Doh, he uses 3D printing to bring his ideas to life. What we're doing is we also want to spark an engineering mindset in the community. Just like how my ears hurt from my mask, I created a mask holder. And just like Sam wants to press elevator buttons or open doors, he created that. And so what does our platform entail? We have, first of all, a user-friendly CAD software. So that means that it's very intuitive, unlike something that maybe medical professionals would have to use to create prosthetics. We also have an online forum to share designs. So this is where, let's say somebody else wants to create a bow tie, then they can go onto the post that Kevin made and see that he created one already and spark inspiration from that. Third, we have professional CAD videos that are exclusive to our 3D Hub. And so with these videos, it spans from people who are just learning how to 3D print to professionals who already want to expand their knowledge to a new realm. And finally, we ship directly to your house. So once you press print on your design or your idea, it appears on your doorstep 2 days later. So the process looks a little bit like something for you and me, who would want to 3D print using 3D Hub. So we would first maybe explore the online forum and see if somebody else has already made a design similar, or if anything sparks your interest. Then you could watch a couple of videos and see if how you want to do it with our CAD software. And so then you can actually design it using our software, and you can press submit whenever you're done. When you press submit and print, we handle everything from there. The technical difficulties, the filaments, the sizing, everything. And then it appears on your doorstep 2 days later.
So, now that you know how our business works, how exactly do we make money? The answer lies in subscriptions. So for individuals like you and me, we offer 2 types of subscriptions, a standard plan and a premium plan. So for someone like Kevin, who's just starting with 3D printing, he just needs the basic services and how to learn how to use CAD. And he might occasionally order a print or 2. So for him, we will recommend the standard plan. Whereas on the other hand, we have Raid, who really likes to get hands-on with his designs. So he will want to order a lot of prints. And for him, we will recommend the premium plan, which offers him access to our whole website, as well as unlimited prints. Now, our target audience isn't just individuals. We also want to reach out to schools and large organizations. So for them, we have group subscriptions. So for our small group subscription, we have, what they get is 50 individual accounts for their users. And for our large group subscription, they get 150 individual accounts for their users. Now, how much money are we actually making? So, we can talk about that by looking at the contribution margin. So how the contribution margin is calculated is subtracting the variable expenses from our subscription price. And as we can see, our net profit is very high compared to how much we're charging. And that is because our business has a lot of fixed monthly expenses and a lot of startup expenses, but not a lot of variable expenses. And what this means is that as a business, starting, we won't be making that much money. But as we increase in subscriber amounts, our revenue will shoot up exponentially. And that can be shown in our phase model on the next slide. So in phase 1, we'll be mostly focused on Mississippi audience. And so with a model of around 400 subscribers, we'll be producing around $1,000 in monthly profit. Now, once we hit that goal, we'll move to neighboring states. And neighboring states, so our subscribers will be projected to double. Once that doubles, you would expect the net revenue to double as well, right? But because of our business model, it doesn't just double from 1,000 to 2,000. No, it increases all the way to $5,000 a monthly profit. And next, once we hit that goal, we will expand to nationwide. And if we double our subscribers amount again, it will increase to $12,000 per month. As you can see, every time we only double the number of users we have, but our revenue increases exponentially. And now, how long would it take us to actually to make a profit, to break even? So just using a conservative approach of our phase 1 model of 400 subscribers, it will take us just 22 months to break even.
So immediately it's unclear where we're going to get all of these subscribers, right? And from our mission statement, you could probably tell that we were focusing on bringing technology to young minds, right? And so we're going to find these young minds, we're going to find them in schools, from elementary school, middle school, and high schoolers. But the nuance here is they are the ones actually interacting with our website, with our product, but they're not the ones with the money, right? So we will want to reach the parents, and Kevin will tell you soon about how you're going to do that. And we're confident that there is a market here that will pay for what we have because A, the subscription service business has been growing rapidly. And one reason we can point to is because consumers feel a more personal connection with a business that they have a subscription to rather than a one-time purchase, right? But further, we feel the educational subscription service has lots of consumers, and there's money there for us because we see them spending $59 per year on science journals or subscriptions for companies like Keisel.
So now you might be wondering, how will we get our brand out there? So that brings us to our sales strategies. First, we'll advertise through YouTube, Google, and Facebook. And second, we'll travel to local communities like schools and churches and give out demonstrations on how 3D printing works. And since there's like a large student body at churches and schools and a large parent body, it's easier for us to like sell the group subscriptions to them. And thirdly, through referral programs, which if you invite 2 successful friends to come to our service, to buy our service, then you'll get a free 1-month premium subscription. So now you might ask, well, how do I convince my friend? Well, you can just say we're better than every other company on the market. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. So what you can instead say is that companies like Autodesk only offers like CAD softwares, companies like Xometry only offers printing services, and companies like Thingiverse only offer online forums. But we, 3D Hub, offers all these services and at an affordable price.
Oh look, Kevin, your 3D printed bow tie's ready. Catch.
Hey Kevin, I really like your bow tie.
Thank you. Kevin's going to come down with some of the actual 3D printed items, and they're going to hand them to the judges.
All right, so I think we're ready for questions.
In your business plan, I think it's tier 2, it talks about unlimited prints. That scares me. How's that cost? Tell me about that cost structure and how you're not going to get in trouble.
Yes, so we say unlimited prints, and while that is true, what we didn't tell them is all the customers, they pay for their own shipping. So if they were to order more prints, they will have to cover all the shipping costs after the first free 2 shippings, which, like, once you use your 2 free shippings, it is very likely that customers will no longer want to order because they will have to pay the high price of the shipping, which is our main variable expense. The shipping is the most expensive. The materials is relatively cheap.
Also, as they create their own design, they only see it in a world where they can increase and decrease on the mouse pad. So they don't know actually how big they can create it in real life. Obviously, we won't let them print an entire car or something like that. We will size it down as we do in our own background with our 3D printed machines.
And with your CAD lessons, so will these just be video tutorials? Like, will be actual people there? And the expense of that, their hourly wages, how will you guys do that?
Yeah, of course. So we included those as one of, first of all, in the advertisement section, since these videos are kind of doing their own advertising as they teach people how to use CAD. And second of all, you asked, oh yes, so if you've ever seen Khan Academy videos, then they're just like very educational videos where it's maybe 10 minutes long, and then they're broken down in sections. So maybe we have 3 different chapters, so to speak, and each chapter will have a different topic that they're targeting in the actual videos. And so in our business plan, we wrote that Sam has a degree in 3D printing, and so he's also very involved in this field. We'll start out with videos that are made by him and shot professionally, but also included in our budget. But as we extend to nationwide, we also may look towards using some of our revenue to make even more professional videos.
I just wanted to clarify if the subscription is a cancel anytime subscription.
Yes, ma'am, of course it is.
So within that, and that was my question about subscriptions. I know for me, I have so many, and I actually just went through recently to try to desubscribe, I guess, from some of them. But what is the option? I mean, is there an option? Because when you say free, it's not necessarily free because I've already kind of prepaid for my item because I have a subscription. So what is there like a minimum amount or maximum amount? And once I have that subscription, is there a minimum time limit? I know she said, like she asked about the cancel anytime, but do I have to sign up for like a 6-month subscription, and if I don't do the entire 6 months, will I have to pay a fee?
No, ma'am. So the subscription is just monthly based. So after every month you can cancel. So it's not, you don't have a contract of 6 months or a year that you can't cancel. And also, that's one of the reasons we use the subscriptions is because once you pay the subscription fee, from a marketing standpoint, why subscription companies like Netflix and Spotify have been so popular is because once you pay the subscription fee, sometimes you don't even think about it, and it just renews in the background, and it will just be there when you need it. But some of our customers, I believe, over time, they might not even use it that often, and that's just more revenue for us as well.
But also, you can conceptualize your fee that you already paid prior to printing as your access to our website, right? Because we are offering a great deal of resources all put together in our business, right? And even if you don't actually print anything, you still have access to learn.
And also a part of the reason why we're a subscription business instead of a one-time purchase business where, let's say you make a design and you print it out, and then every design that you print, you have to pay for yourself. With the subscription business instead, what we're doing is we're giving them this channel that they can come to like any time. So instead of having a barrier of every single time you have to pay it, you pay one in the beginning, and then that way, anytime after that, it is free to the point where you don't pay again for your actual print that you might print out again.
Well, thank you, 3D Hub. Great job. This is our last group. This is the Sages. La Sagesse. Sephora Pateau, CJ Jordan, and Nathan George.
Well, as Dr. Kessler said, I'm Nathan George.
I'm Sephora Pateau.
And I'm CJ Jordan.
And we are La Sagesse. Hey, Sephora, what's La Sagesse mean?
Well, La Sagesse is the combination of two words in the Haitian Creole language, La and sagesse. La meaning be and sagesse meaning wisdom. And now you may be wondering why we chose this word. You will see as this presentation continues.
That's nice. I'm no linguist, but let me tell you what it is. We are education for and by Mississippi. Right now, Mississippi ranks 43rd in education. When I hear that, it makes me sad. Don't it make you guys sad that you live in a state in which everyone thinks we're ignorant? We can't read. We can't even do what 2 + 2 is. And also, it's the teacher shortage right now. Mississippi lacks 3,000 certified teachers. That's 8.6% of teaching positions. Rather there's just a sub filling in who's unqualified, or just no one's there and students are being taught by like online just with nothing. And also, Mississippi has an immigration rate of -3.6, meaning for every 1,000 people that come here, 3,600 pack their bags and get out. And a lot of this is correlated to the sad education in Mississippi. But, Sephora, why is education so bad in Mississippi?
Thank you for asking. Education is really bad because Mississippi teachers struggle to engage students. This is really prevalent during the pandemic because students often have different learning styles, whether they're visual, auditory, etc., that they need to use to be engaged. And during the pandemic, some students, they excelled in the work, but a lot of students failed, and this was very prevalent in state test scores. Teachers often struggle to find time at regular public schools. Teachers are given 7 hours to teach and a 1-hour planning period. But often they're seen outside of that teaching period, outside of that period of the 8-hour workday, planning for classes for next week, next month, and even during the summer, they can be seen working nonstop. This leads to a heavy burnout of teachers because they're faced with huge amounts of stress and a workload that is unimaginable.
You guys all seen this, right? You sit in a desk and the teacher just, honestly, you can tell they don't know what they're doing. And if you tell them that, they go sit at their desk and they're like, you're dismissed for the day. Teachers are they're going through right now, guys, and we're here to help them. And what do we have? CJ, tell us what we do.
Well, we offer notes, worksheets, quizzes, tests, and supplementary videos for students to get multiple contacts of education styles. This is a means for teachers to engage their students in many different ways, as many ways as possible, or as many ways as it takes to get to the student. This means that with the lesson plans that are pre-prepared for the teachers, they can focus on that student. That planning time now becomes tutorial time, or get to know me time, or let's just talk time. And that really fosters a better relationship between teacher and student. This is also a way to lessen the stress of teachers. When they don't have to take their work home anymore, it improves their quality of life tremendously, which means they'll be staying in the profession and they won't be leaving the state.
Interesting. And you say this is a vague product. Let's take a look at what this might look like. We have the product. So as CJ said, basically we're a coursework, and the course is going to be about $700 to teach an entire course. So what you see your teacher give out to you, your worksheets, your notes, your quizzes, your tests, we supply all of that for teachers so they can take time to get to know their students and get to know about their material. And also, so right here, this course, this is just a regular note sheet that the students would have for sixth grade math. Right up here at the top, we're individualized for Mississippi. You see, we have the standards at the top, and this was a free worksheet that I made just in 5 minutes. And see what we can make as we have our monthly expenses of $157.50, which I could buy a better version to make this worksheet more interactive, more creative, so students would be like, ooh, I really do like this worksheet. But this is better than what most students have out there. But also, in our first fiscal year, we only have $2,740 in costs, and that includes the video production, 3 times video production. This will all be in our own houses filming these videos, and also include marketing processes of trying to get this in schools, and also include the, of course, word processing, the video editors. But the thing is about this, since it's electronic and we're just sending it out, it doesn't cost more to produce another sheet, to sell another sheet. So we have no marginal costs. And we only have to sell 4 of these courses just to break even. But who are these for? Who are we trying to reach?
Why does this work? This works because students need multiple teaching styles, whether in person, through video, like I said before, auditory and visual learners are prevalent throughout the state. These multiple teaching styles, these students learning more effectively, leads to happier teachers. This leads to happier teachers because they're not having to balance constantly with their work and their home life, having to always have a higher percentage of their work at home and not being able to interact with their families. They can instead interact with everyone in their lives. And we are specialized for Mississippi.
So you mean to tell me that we make worksheets just for Mississippi, right? No one else, right now, just for Mississippi.
Just for Mississippi.
So when you go into a class that has ours, they would be like, this makes you ready for the Mississippi State test, right?
Correct.
Interesting. And who are we trying to get this into the hands of?
Well, of course, this is all about the kids, the students, but they won't be buying this. This will be going to the 162 public school districts in Mississippi. We hope to reach 20 within the first year, so that'll be around 27 teachers per school district, or 540 teachers total. Or, if you like to think about it in terms of money, $378,000.
And where did this 27 teachers per school district come from?
Well, this is the metric for a 3A school in Mississippi, or the mean school district. It goes from 1 to 6A, and the cost could, of course, become exponentially higher or lower depending on the school we're selling to.
And what grade are these teachers teaching?
This is for 6th through 8th grade only.
And what courses?
Math, science, and English.
So the fundamentals, before we get into high school, we're trying to strengthen those, right?
Yes. Get a good, strong foundation.
Great. And how are we going to get this into these schools? So our sales strategy, of course, we have our emailing and our mailing. We're trying to get this into the teachers' classrooms, try to get the teachers notified of this, try to get the superintendent notified of this, just the school in general, that we have a tool just for Mississippians, just to help y'all out. And we also have Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, as social media is becoming more prevalent, as Gen Z becomes teachers and millennials becoming teachers, and they're the majority of the workforce. They're the majority of the people who will be teaching our next generation. And also, we're trying to get to our superintendents and our central offices, since they're the ones that will be allocating the resources, who will be buying it, who makes the final decision of, yes, I want to help my school. Let's find a way to do it. And also, middle school teachers are required to go to about 2 or 3 conferences a year by the Department of Education. So we'll show up to those conferences and be like, hey guys, I see that you're trying to learn how to do better, how to teach better with the state test, but let me show you a way a physical way instead of just some PhD lecturing at you. Let us help a physical, material way that we can help your students. But is anyone like us?
There's no one just quite like us. Now, of course, there's Pearson, which goes directly to AP students operating based off of textbooks from any given company like McGraw-Hill or
those heavy textbooks that we have to carry around?
Yeah, speaking of those heavy textbooks, that's $200 on average per student. That's like 400 students at a school district are $80,000, but with our product, it's about $20,000 per school district. Much, much lower than what a school would be paying. Now, of course, there are things like Khan Academy, which is a great service, but it's not Mississippi specific. They reach a very broad audience, and so of course they have to use different terminology when teaching, or they have to not stick to any kind of certain metric, but we can do that because we are for Mississippi.
And by Mississippi. Our team, who are we? Who are we, Sephora?
We are Mississippians. We have experienced firsthand what the Mississippi education system has done to us and our peers. That's why we came to MSMS.
The pandemic hit all of us personally during the back half of our freshman year. We were hit at a very terminal time with the oddest case of education that we've ever seen, that teachers have ever seen. We understand personally where each and every one of these pandemic students are coming from and what kind of struggles they are dealing with.
Also, I wish to be a future educator. I love education. This is my passion project. I sit in teachers' classrooms and ask them how do they make the worksheets. What do we need to change for Mississippi? I'm in the classroom asking teachers what we need to change, asking them what we need to do. But you know, can we make any money from this?
Well, this is our revenue model. We would break even at around 4 courses, which is what my coworker Nathan has said, at around $700 per course, with a projected goal of 540 courses, and which would reach about $378,000 for our first fiscal year.
And what are we going to do after our first fiscal year? Where are we expanding to?
We plan to expand to other grades rather than other states. As said previously, Mississippi is 43rd in the nation, and we need to reach all aspects of Mississippi education before we decide we are going to move on. The way we're going to keep...
We are for Mississippi, by Mississippi. We want a better Mississippi for you, for your kids, for my kids, for any future Mississippian. We want to make it better.
The way we're going to keep our revenue model is through a subscription service. We're doing that through a subscription service with input from the teachers who would provide input on how to make our service better. So they would input their money year after year, whether they want to keep the course, so we could have a better program for them.
A better program for a better Mississippi. Thank you. Any questions?
Do you have a certified teacher or mentor in place that might help you with any alignment with the state curriculum so that you'd have approval to actually market this product?
Do you mean like to make sure it's, I'm sorry, do you mean like to make sure it's like aligned with state curriculum? Well,
yes.
The state curriculum and the state standards are just out there for the public, so we just access those, and I can just run it by any teacher and be like, do you think these run by what this lines up with? And they'd say yes.
Of course, while researching this product, we did interview teachers just to see if there was a need and what could be improved specifically. So we can return to those same sources to ask them if we're doing what we set out to do correctly.
So why did you guys choose to start with the 6th or the 8th grade and not, say, 3rd through 5th?
Because that is the foundation before we get into high school. We saw that many of the changes in Mississippi, a lot of students start 6th or 8th grade, and it's where we're going back. A lot of time in high school, they were like, why don't you guys know this? This is middle school, this is like middle school, elementary. And we were like, we need to get that foundation, we'll make it strong, so when they go into high school, they are ready to attack.
Even before the pandemic hit, my middle school education was very spotty. During the 8th grade, several of my teachers were out for extended periods of time for any given reason or another, and I really taught myself on a lot of subjects. My younger brother was hit during the pandemic in the 6th grade, and now often struggles with things that he should, already be well versed in. So in my own home, I've seen a lot of reason for middle school education specifically to be supplemented.
Middle school education is also you can apply it in real life. If you ask any high school teacher, they'll be like, I love teaching middle school because of what they're teaching, because of how they're teaching it, because it'll be like doing a budget, how much money is something going to be? If you buy this much of this, how many of this can you buy of this? You know, system of equations with like eggs and bread at a grocery store, adding up your costs. But also, not that many teachers are willing to teach that age group, and that's what this is for, to relieve that stress off of those teachers so they can learn how to handle the classroom of rowdy middle schoolers.
I have a question. I just want clarification on the course itself. The course is like a semester course?
Well,
it's for your term?
Well, it's not based on the term, it's based on a course, because different schools teach at different course times. Some schools teach Algebra 1 in a semester, some teach it in a year based on their course block. So it's not a time block, it's just for a whole course.
Okay, so is it more like, is the course more like a supplemental work, like substitution, or is it like a homeschooler could take this course and get full credit?
Actually, all of them. Well, full credit wouldn't account because it's not, you have to be in the Mississippi education system to do that. But actually, if you get any of them, anybody could teach this up. Because the thing is, it's just for Mississippi. It's universal in Mississippi. So any Mississippi teacher could pick this up, and everybody across the state of Mississippi is learning the same thing.
This program is used to work with the teacher rather than for the teacher.
But if times were necessary where a teacher just wasn't there, we could have them in place.
So with the coursework, I know you mentioned the large textbooks and all of that. So is this just a digital, is this just online?
Well,
and do you have, I know I saw in your business plan that you mentioned virtual instruction. So what, I guess I didn't really understand how the classes would be given. Is it, are the instructors giving the coursework? Or I know you mentioned like a lecture. I was just curious on how that was going to happen.
Yes, ma'am. So basically, some days you sit in the classroom and no matter what that teacher is saying, you just can't understand it. So basically, that's what our videos are for. Our videos are for if you just sat in the class that day and you didn't get it, you can go home and watch the video and it goes over the exact same worksheet that the teacher's doing. But the worksheet the teacher is doing is what we're selling. We're selling that with the videos. So they coincide. But in the case where the sir mentioned, if there's no teacher in place, they can learn from these videos instead of a sub just misguiding them and not knowing what they're doing.
It's a very flexible and adaptable model. Because if the teacher is out, of course, then a student has to teach themselves. But if a teacher is there, they might get better instruction from the teacher and they might not need the videos. If they don't understand what the teacher is saying, a student will often go and turn to the videos. But if they go somewhere like Khan Academy, which does not match up with the things that they are being taught specifically, they might end up more confused than when they began.
Thank you. Real quickly, on the subscriptions, is that per school or per district? How is that sold?
The subscriptions are sold per course. So for each course that is paid for already, around $700. You keep that course, and then it is updated periodically every year with input from teachers that tell us whether or not we need to do better or take some things away from the course.
All right, let me clarify that. Okay, so it's sold per course, but who is paying for it? Is it the student? Is it the teacher? Is it the school or district?
It is the district for teachers.
Okay, so if I'm a superintendent and I buy your course, I can give it to 20 schools for that one subscription?
It would be teachers preferably, but we'll give discounts as they buy more for each teacher.
Per class?
Per class, yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Who's making the lessons and what educational, what background do you have making?
We're making the lessons, of course, but we are all, avid learners. We've all grown up and gone beyond the current metrics that Mississippi has ever defined for us. we can personally relate to what the students need explained to them, and also our foremost partner, Nathan George, wishes to be an educator and will go on to get an education degree.
It's just a lot of work.
And we're willing to put in that work for Mississippi.
Thank you, guys. So I'm going to dismiss our judges. You guys are going to meet Dr. Moore in the back, and she's going to take you into a room to deliberate. So before we get into the awards, Dr. Yolanda Cook has some gifts for our judges to thank them for being part of this event today. So let's give them another round of applause for this. Okay. All right. Dr. Lacy has gone to deliver a baby, so she is right here. So I will let you guys announce the winners.
First of all, we think that every team did just an outstanding job, and it was very, very difficult to decide. Please give them a round of applause. So, without further ado, we were going to say that the runner-up is electrostatic. And first place winner is upright prosthetics.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
I can't wait to subscribe to the DNA, what, not say DNA, the 3D printing, and that was
Hi, I want to thank everybody for coming. On behalf of the Msms administration, faculty, staff, and students, I'd like to reiterate our thanks for today's judges, Mayor Gaskin and Mr. and Mrs. Jeff Turnage for sponsoring this event. Let's give them all a big round of applause.